Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon, Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Meaty boys brawling, no holds barred bout. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman?
Tune in the vibe.
Godly on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. More better with the latest fight. Gene's got that insight sight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every movie, every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Wrestling talk all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends lore.
What's poppin', y'all? It's your boy, RD3, and welcome to the final Meaty Boy stream before Wrestlemania. Of course, joining me like every week, he's the best there is, best there was, best co-host there ever will be. He is Mo Betta. How you doing, Mo?
I'm doing great. It's a Tuesday night, so you know Meaty Boys is about to talk some wrestling. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. And you know what? I figured we'd start off a little easy. There's a pay-per-view for AEW that just happened on Sunday. AEW Dynasty. And, you know, it was controversial to, say the least. Some people were, kind of happy. Some people were, happy with what they saw. Some people, not so much. So I think it's very interesting, to say the least. And, I figure we'll get do we want to start off with the good of the pay-per-view or the bad of the papper-view, Mo? What do you think? Should we?
Oh no, let's take the bad medicine first.
Okay, so I want to start off with sir, we'll throw the results up here real quick in case somebody didn't miss it. In case people missed it, we're gonna save the main event for last because to me, Mo, I don't even think the World Championship match had the worst ending of the night. It was something, and we'll get there in a minute. But to me, for starting off with the bad stuff, and then we'll get to some fun, good stuff, I want to start off with Chris Jericho's match. They had a little fun title versus mask, Bandito versus Chris Jericho. And Mo, as much as people hated the ending to the world title match, I thought this was the worst ending of the night. Now, let me explain why. I think the process of it was just awful. So, if anybody didn't catch it, I'll give you a quick breakdown. So, Chris Jericho actually won. He hits Bandito with a bat. He hides it behind the steel steps, pins him. 1, 2, 3. It's over. Bandito has to unmask because there were 2 referees out there, and both of them missed it. However, Bandito's mom calls over Aubrey Edwards and goes, "Hey, wait a minute. He hit my son with the bat. The bat's behind the steel steps." And Aubrey goes, and the bat is behind the steel steps. And she goes, "You know what? Yeah, you're right. She must have hit Bandito with this. Okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to restart the match." Jericho goes after Bandito's family. They slap him. Bandito, hits his finisher, pins Chris Jericho, and we finally get to the result that should have happened. Bandito beats Chris Jericho. That is the result. That is the correct result. Now, I think it's just too many logical holes, though, with this one. Like, since when can we, throw the challenge flag from the crowd? Like, that's the first part that confused me. But also, slapping Chris Jericho before Bandito hit his finisher? Wouldn't that just be grounds for disqualification?
Facts, right.
So, to me, it's convoluted in the same way that, Hogan versus Sting was over-convoluted at Starrcade 97. There's a result. It should have just went from point A to point B. But this match for some reason, went from, point A to B to C, detoured, and we finally got to the finish. But I don't know, Mo. To me, they just did way too much with the ending of this match.
I think you summed it up. They did too much. The result is the right result. You needed to get the belt off of Jericho, but the way they went about it, it's just doing too much. That would have the average fan spending, let alone a diehard fan. That's just too much, and it doesn't. The whole thing to me about when belts trade to a different person, you have to sell me on it that it works. That makes sense to me. All the things that you just described with the mother getting involved and saying, "You hit my son with a bat that he's hiding," so what if there's a bat over there? How do I know your son didn't put the bat over there to set it up and to make it look like he hit him over? When do we start taking, when the refs go, that must be what happened? That seems weird. And then Jericho gets slapped. That's a lot of extra stuff going on to get to a final result. That is definitely doing too much.
And we've seen plenty of times where normally they would just lead to a rematch, but they kind of book themselves into a corner because you don't want Bandito to lose his mask, so he kind of has to win the match.
Right.
But also, does that just mean that the real thing to do if you're in a title match is bring a family member with you to sit in the crowd to just kind of play manager? Yeah, let me throw out the challenge flag real quick, review that. But, and to me, that was the most overly confusing match to me. Because the next negative that I want to talk about, because I think this card was fine. And I think a lot of it was fun. I think it was fine. And I think one of the second negative, and of course this is what a lot of people take away, the world title match. Jon Moxley beats Swerve Strickland. You know what it feels like to me, Mo, and I think this is my problem right now with Jon Moxley matches. It's the match structure itself. We know Jon Moxley can have a match that entertains everyone. He's done it multiple times. He's an entertaining fellow. I like Jon Moxley. But it almost feels like they are taking a page. They watch too much Bloodline. They watch Reigns 2023 matches and not the good ones. And they're we want to use that formula for Jon Moxley matches. You'll wrestle for a bit, the heel dominates, and then as soon as the good guy tries to get the upper hand, we need 27 interferences.
Right.
And then LOL, Roman wins. Or in this case, just LOL, Mox wins. And of course, we got that in the form of, the Ops came out to help the Death Riders Prince Nana, and even Hangman Adam Page helped Swerve. Sorry, so. And just when we thought Swerve might be closing in on it, the return of the Young Bucks laying out Swerve with the EVP trigger, and they aligned themselves with the Death Riders. So the match earlier was an overbooked mess, but this felt like it too. And at this point, Mo, what was your thought on the main event? And where do you think the title, who's next?
Look, I you and I have talked a lot about the storyline with the Death Riders and Moxley. I think Moxley's been a terrific performer for a long time, and I'm not advocating that he's done as one of the top performers because he's far from it. But I think the storyline is strained with the Death Rider. Like the Death Riders can still be in feuds and still have impact, but I think you can still do that and Moxley not have the belt. He's a big enough star where you can give up the belt and let Swerve have a run. Maybe it's a 6-month run, maybe it's a year run, but let somebody else be the captain for a while just to shake things up a little bit. I think they keep extending this storyline, and the way that they keep extending it, like you pointed out, the Young Bucks got involved, and they actually ended up aligning themselves with the Death Riders, which means this isn't going away anytime soon. And you're right. Someone in AEW literally looked at the playbook from the Bloodline and said, you know how Roman held onto the belt all that time? We're going to do some of those things. Like, yes, he's a heel, he'll dominate at times, but when the face starts to make a move, that's when we have several distractions and run-ins, and now we have another ally. And I'm not saying it can't be interesting, but maybe I guess the execution isn't as interesting as it could be. But I do think you're right. This is what they're not. It's not the Bloodline, but it is the Bloodline's playbook. And if they're going to go down that path, then Swerve Strickland, I'm not going to say he's never going to be champ, but he's not going to be champ anytime soon.
Yeah, and the rumor was the original plan was for Darby Allin to win the title, but I hope they don't wait on Darby. I would even love to see even if at All Ins in Texas we got Hangman Adam Page, but I think the most likely guy I think could take the title off of him at All In would be Will Ospreay. I think he's going to win the Owen and face Mox at All In. The biggest reason why, I just don't want to see it to be Darby, and I'm not saying Darby can never hold the AEW World title, but the problem with Darby is he just started climbing Mount Everest, apparently, and that takes 2 months. Right. So we would be looking at, obviously, Mox retaining at All In, and then we have to wait until, maybe All Out in September or Wrestle Dream in October to finally get that, Darby versus Mox match. And by then, does the storyline have enough juice to make it all the way till, September, October? I don't think so. But like I said, I want to see Ospreay win it at All In. And like I said, Darby can be champion. I just think that if they try to drag this on until he comes back, I feel like just nobody's going to care by the time October rolls around.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, Darby is an amazing performer, and he can be champion, but maybe you alter that plan and you get Swerve over, and then at some point Darby and Swerve get in the ring and Darby becomes champ. You know what I mean? You could do it that way. And maybe they are thinking along those lines. Or maybe it's as simple as Mox is going to hold on to the belt till Darby returns. But I'm with you. I think that if you wait that long, you're going to squeeze a lot of the energy out of what could happen versus what could happen in the moment. Like you're going to miss your moment. And these kind of things are fleeting. Fans get disinterested and then the storyline goes dry. So they've got to come up with another plan.
No, absolutely. I will say though, I think what they're trying to do here is I don't think there will be a world title match at Double or Nothing. I think they're pretty clearly trying to build towards a Anarchy in the Arena match with everybody getting involved. So that'll be a fun match. So I think the next time we see a title defense, at least on pay-per-view, will be All In. So it's funny because I feel like that's the part's getting overlooked, that they're going to have a really, really fun 5-on-5 match in about a month. But, because of the way it ended and the way they kind of just screwed over Swerve at the end with the Young Bucks, that, nobody's thinking about the big picture, which Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing is going to be a ton of fun.
No doubt.
Which, by the way, I guess is a kind of a third. I don't know whether to call it a good or a bad. But after the pay-per-view is over, Swerve picked up a mic to send the crowd home happy. And he started, thanks for coming out. I'll get him next time, the good old rah-rah speech after you lose a title match.
Right.
But then, him and Booker T have been kind of throwing shots back and forth.
I noticed that.
And he decides to end his speech and goes, for my own amusement, F Booker T. And I just think it's really bizarre to take the focus off of the pay-per-view that you just had and put it on Booker T. I don't know to call it I feel like I want to put this under just confused, because I feel like it's a good learning experience for him, because, taking away the attention off of your show to put it on somebody else isn't great. So, yeah, I just thought that was weird that he just wanted to end his whole speech to go after Booker T.
Yeah, and look, I don't know the entire gist of their beef, other than I got the impression that Swerve initiated by being disrespectful of what Booker T's, I guess, his path and his value was as a wrestler, right? And Booker's thing was, I kind of set a path. And if you look at Booker's career, he kind of set a path, right? But
yeah,
multiple-time tag team champion. Then he became a multiple-time heavyweight champion. I think Booker T is one of those guys that you forget that there's not a whole lot of African-American heavyweight champions in the history of wrestling, but he's one of them. So I don't know why Swerve thinks less of him or of his career. I don't get that.
Yeah, and I just want to move to the good stuff too, because I think there was some fun, good stuff that happened. And I think, first off, I think the best thing to come out of this pay-per-view, the best match of the night by far, to me, the International Championship match. Kenny Omega, Mike Bailey, and Ricochet just had a fantastic triple threat match. I feel like at this point you can put Kenny Omega in the ring with anybody and it'd be fantastic. Put him in the ring with guys like Mike Bailey and Ricochet, and that was always going to tear the house down. So I absolutely love that match.
I think Ricochet is just naturally entertaining. We talk about certain performers that you can put in there with anybody and you're going to get a compelling or entertaining match. Ricochet is that guy. If I have to nitpick about Ricochet, is he always puts on an amazing show, but he never seems to be the guy that gets over.
Yeah, no, he's been putting in some really good work here in AEW as of late, but yeah, no, I think he's almost in the perfect spot where he's slowly kind of winning over the crowd more and more, and he's getting those high-profile matches. So we'll see. I'm sure we'll see if he's able to finally, pull it off at some point and win a title, which I'm sure is coming. I could see him being a really good TNT champion eventually, or, even an international champion, but
yeah.
Clearly it's not in the cards. Or building towards Kenny Omega versus Okada. It's funny because I think it's their 8th match together, but most of them have happened, over in New Japan. So that will be a fun one. It's a risky match to do, but it's a fun one. And the only reason an Omega Okada match is so risky is just because the bar is set so high that can they really reach the standard that they themselves set when they've had what people call the greatest match, that isn't in WWE? Like, I'm looking forward to that. It looks like they're teasing it for All In, but that's going to be an insane bar for them to reach.
No, I agree. But if any two performers can do it, it's them. Kenny Omega's, he's just that dude. He's one of those guys that I find myself rooting for all the time. Even though I want others to do well, I just think Kenny Omega is one of those guys that I can see him being a big part of carrying the company going forward. He's that kind of star. Like, he has enough heat without the belt, but with the belt, and if they put him all the way over, I think he'll be a universal star.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, the only reason, I think so too. I think the match is going to be great. Like I said, my only concern is, age. They last had their, fantastic clash one-on-one 7 years ago. It's 2018.
Right.
So, age, and they're both, older. Kenny's coming off diverculitis, even though that doesn't seem to be phasing him that much. He's just insanity. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I think there's a lot of fun. Toni Storm always, delivers.
She does.
I think my other fun one, though, was the FTR heel turn on Cope. I thought that was great. And the way that they pulled it off, like Cash looking like he was going to help Cope, and then in one fluid motion, they hit him with the Shatter Machine and took him out. I thought that was great. And I think, it's funny because we talked about it last week, and it looks like they're going to be pulling the trigger. I think that they're now building up for Cope and Christian versus FTR, which will be a fantastic tag team match if they go that direction.
We've been talking about that, the possible reunion of Edge and Chris. I'm ready for it, for Copeland and Christian to get together. I think that'll be a great rivalry, a great feud. I'm here for it. And I like what they did for the setup. So they executed the setup to perfection. It's just a matter of them going all in and making that reunion happen, because I think that would be amazing for the fans.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, yeah, just wanted to, touch a little on Dynasty, have a little fun with that. Now, it looks like the road to WrestleMania, Mo, is starting to get even more interesting. Now, granted, there are some matches that are, they started announcing that I'm kind of like, okay, this is happening. But, the card is finally starting to fill up. We're only a week away, Mo. What do you think of the card? So, what do you think about WrestleMania so far? Are you excited?
Oh, I'm really excited. I can't wait for our WrestleMania watch along. Just because when you get caught up in it, your real reactions, your real emotions with each move or each pin, and the twists and turns. And I think that Triple H and Creative are doing a great job with the storytelling, because they're giving you stories, but they're also giving you stories that could go multiple ways. And it keeps the fans guessing. Even now, with the emergence of the three-way, we knew the three-way was coming, obviously, between Bianca Belair, Mommy, and Io. We knew that was coming. It was just how they were going to go about to do it. And even now, with everything that's going on, because everybody's kind of treating Io like she's an afterthought, I'm not 100% sure she loses the belt. I'm not 100% sure. I think everybody has kind of like forgotten about Io, and everybody's like, well, either Bianca's going to turn and she'll win the belt, or Rhea's going to turn. I do believe one of them out and out turns heel. I don't think I'm for sure who it's going to be, though. Rhea's too obvious for me, and that's why I lean more towards Bianca.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. And the funny part is they're already booing Bianca. I don't even know why, but they're just straight up booing her.
I was going to ask you that. She's getting booed as much as Charlotte Flair, which I get that Charlotte's a heel now, but they're booing Charlotte the way they boo dang, I can't remember his name right now. Judgment Day. Dominic. Nobody gets more boo. Like, they don't even let Dom talk. Charlotte's embracing her role as the heel, but the crowd's not even letting her talk. Like, they just kept throwing off her cadence. And it was funny because they're doing the promo, and obviously Tiff is doing her part because she's shooting shots left and right. She brought up the multiple divorces. I mean, she was throwing some heavy blows, and every time Charlotte tried to respond, the crowd would just interrupt her and throw off her cadence. And at one point, she literally said, and I know you heard this, "What do you want me to do, Chicago? What do you want me to say?" Right? Like, she was, and as soon as she got that out, they went into a long boo. So if I was Charlotte, and she's so smart, she's a natural like her pops, I'm actually surprised that she didn't kind of like stop talking and maybe get behind Tiffy and attack her, right? Like, if the crowd's gonna boo you like that to where you can't talk, there's another way to amp up the promotion, and you don't have to do it with words.
Yeah, that whole Tiffany and Charlotte thing was, I don't know how to say it. Like,
it was bad. It was
weird.
Bad.
It was awkward. Like, it's okay. Like, I don't know how else to like put this, because like, am I okay with Tiffany kind of going, because you can tell she ventured off script.
She did, yeah.
And am I okay with her doing that? Absolutely, because you can tell Charlotte did it to her multiple times. Like, just almost trying to like haze her, like big league her. But at the same time, like, if she didn't, get clearance to talk about like her divorces on like live TV, would I have brought that up?
Right.
No. I think she went a little too far with that one, especially if it wasn't talked about, because you could tell Charlotte was like visibly stunned and immediately tried to throw a bar back with, is that why Kaiser's in my DMs?
Yeah.
Awkward,
that was cringy. That was really cringy, because I know that they have a pattern that they're going on for the promo, but you're right. I thought Tiff took some liberties and freestyled, and it got really personal. And Charlotte was already off her game. She couldn't really keep up her end of the promo. And when Tiffy brought up the 3 divorces, it threw her. And in the end, she tried to take a last-minute shot about Kaiser being her to DMs, but the crowd totally didn't. They were oblivious to that. They just drowned her out, and we moved on. Like, it wasn't that it was a bad promo. It was a cringy promo. It was very cringy.
Right, and to me, that's like the perfect textbook definition of like shooting gone like wrong. Like, we've seen people do really good shoot promos, and it builds towards the match. It's exciting, but the thing with people doing shoot promos a lot of the time is you still kind of know what buttons you can push with the other person, so you don't take it too far, but you can still make it personal enough to get the crowd invested. And nobody's really upset for a lot of these really good shoot promos. Sometimes people are upset, but that's going to happen occasionally. Like, Tiffany and Charlotte, it just didn't really feel like it was building that much towards their match. It looked like they just were just straight up taking shots at each other without necessarily building towards the match. I don't know how much more it made people want to like spend money to go see Tiffany and Charlotte, which, a good promo kind of has a purpose. That one just kind of seemed like, yeah, I don't like you, so we're just going to air our dirty laundry out on live TV. It was awkward. It wasn't pretty.
And here's the thing. You noticed that Tiffany kind of went off script and kind of freelanced. I would argue, I think early into the promo, I think Charlotte freelanced. That bit about where she was like, I get busy, but every now and then I like to do a little charity work. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like that was scripted. I don't know if they generally don't like each other, but it's starting to feel that way. It's starting to feel that way.
I almost feel like this is going to go one of two ways. Either Charlotte, they're going to have a fantastic match, or we've seen like Charlotte get upset And like we've seen situations involved with her where she just randomly like decides to take liberties in the ring. If anybody recalls that random shoot fight that she had with Nia Jax, that was super awkward. I feel like we're either going to get a really entertaining match, which I think they're both professional enough to still pull off. But I also see the possibility, Mo, if Charlotte was really that upset by the 0-3 comment,
Right.
I think it's very possible that she doesn't really try that hard at WrestleMania for Tiffany. Like, she might be kicking out of that prettiest moonsault ever at 1.
Yeah, I was, I'm glad you said that. You read my mind. I'm like, she's gonna hit the prettiest moonsault and only get a 1 count, and everybody's gonna be like, "Whoa!"
She's gonna like start hulking up like Hulk Hogan.
Right. Look, I feel like Charlotte feels like what happened to her, her relationship to the fans, and maybe the WWE universe. A lot of the fans are like, "You came back from your injury." They immediately let you win the match, the big match to get the title shot. And I think some people, or maybe a lot of fans, feel like as great as she is, that Charlotte should have had to earn it more, right? Because she didn't come back as a heel. The way the fans reacted to her, Brett, made her have to embrace being the heel, right? She had to become that. They put her in that spot. They've been booing her ever since she's came back. I don't know what's going on with the WWE universe with the fans, but they seem like now they're aligning themselves with who they deem as their favorites. Bianca, we don't even know if Bianca's going to be a heel, but I feel like they've made up their mind like Bianca's a heel. And the way they're treating Charlotte Flair, I think it's the same way. And look, you can embrace the heel thing, but you can be a champion as a heel, and Charlotte knows this. But I feel like what the fans don't want, they don't want to see Charlotte Flair walk out of that arena with the belt around her waist.
I've always said this about Charlotte, and I kind of always stick with it. I think it'd be very easy to turn her into like a babyface and get people to cheer her. They just got to book her differently. I don't think it's that hard. But like, I think like her return this year kind of showed all the problems with her booking. Like they immediately thrusted her back into a title match, which everybody hated.
Right.
And then she starts like talking about how like this was like, it was so hard and life was so hard. Okay, well, in the vignettes leading up to the match, you were on like a random yacht in like off the coast of Miami. Like, I don't think the problem is Charlotte. I think Charlotte's one of the greatest female performers that you will ever see.
I agree.
But I just think the problem is just the way WWE books her. I think if they literally just kept her away from the title scene for a while and, they just had her just work some non-title feuds and maybe, have her work with the U.S. Intercontinental title to, bring some more value to those, I think her stock would rise considerably with the fans.
And here's the thing. I know that you know this about most top level stars. Most stars like a Roman Reigns or a Seth Rollins, they have no interest in being the Intercontinental or U.S. Heavyweight Championship, right? Which, by the way, those are I think those still are prestigious belts. They are to me. And I think Charlotte's the same way, but I think you bring up a great point. What if she was to win the Intercontinental belt? And let's say she brought more prestige because it is Charlotte Flair, and she held on to it for like a year, right? She held on to for like a year, and then she put somebody else over. They take it from her, and then she gets back into the title picture again. That would make more sense to me. It really would, instead of them just launching her right back into the thick of things after her being gone all this time. I think that's the frustration with a lot of fans in the WWE universe. It's not like they don't appreciate her or have love for her. I think you hit it on the head, partner. They didn't like the way they immediately booked her and set her up for a title shot. That's what they didn't like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, definitely want to run through all these matches on the WrestleMania card real quick with you, Mo, and, kind of pick winners before we get to our watch along next week. But before we do, Mo, just need to take a moment to acknowledge a fallen brethren Rest in peace to Carlito. I think that spear from last night just killed him. Like, that may have been the nastiest spear I have ever seen. And I'm convinced that, Carlito did not post that tweet earlier. I think he's just, like, not with us anymore. That was just brutal.
Breaker builds up so much momentum when he hits it that nobody's ever built up the kind of momentum and have the thrust that he has when he hits you with the spear. I've seen a lot of people that are great at spears. Nobody has the impact that Breaker does.
Mo, I've seen people go, "Oh, Dominic should win the fatal. He should win the fatal 4-way at WrestleMania." And you know what they should do? They should have Liv step in the way and take a Braun Breaker spear, and then Dominic throws him out of the ring and win the match. And I'm just stuck on. Oh dear Lord, like poor Liv. If they ask her, like, "Do you want to take a Braun Breaker spear?" I'd be like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah, why would we do that to Liv? Like, why don't we just do what we usually do and let Dom take it, or we can't let Carlito take it because he's done. But the idea of letting Liv take one, I don't even want that. I don't want to see that. Look, I do think Dominic Mysterio is a deceptively good singles performer. But it's just not his time, right? You can tell Dom is doing it the old school way, right? Like his dad, he's doing it the old school way. He is building up a resume. But I'll guarantee you this: a year from now, Dominic Mysterio will be wearing gold. I believe that. And I'm not talking tag team, U.S. belt, or the Intercontinental. I believe Dominic Mysterio is going to be wearing a belt.
Hey, fair enough. So. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I will start there. Then who do you have winning the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship?
I don't think Breaker's going to give it up. I think it's going to be a terrific match. There's going to be full of false finishes. My guess is, look, that's not even a guess. You know how this is going to play out. There's going to be a solid opportunity for either member of the Judgment Day to win, and the other member is going to prevent them from winning. You feel me?
Oh, yeah.
That they're going to be their own undoing. You know it. I know it. And in the end, I'm not so sure that Breaker won't spear 3 people at once.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just Braun Breaker's night. I say give him the big moment and the big WrestleMania win. At this point, he's deserved it. It's a lot of fun.
I like it. And look, as young as he is, he's brought my attention back to a belt like the Intercontinental belt. So I'm excited.
And hey, listen, I feel like that we need to I feel like if he doesn't cut like a math promo in honor of Scott Steiner ahead of this Fatal 4-Way, I'm going to be kind of sad. I say
pretty good.
Another match that got announced. I feel bad, Mo. Chad Gable's missing WrestleMania. Some rookie El Grande Americano, though, stealing his spot from the vets. He's getting a match against Rey Mysterio. So,
yeah. So I find that intriguing. But I'm going to say Rey Mysterio wins, and mysteriously enough, we get to see an old friend again.
You know what, Mo? I think. Part of me wants to say, because I feel like that is I feel like everybody thinks Rey Mysterio is going to unmask him at WrestleMania. But I feel like this is going to be a swerve match. I think I'm going to bet that El Grande Americano pulls off the win. I feel like everybody's expecting him to get unmasked. So I feel like they're going to swerve us and El Grande wins the match at Mania.
I can see that. Look, I'm not saying that's not going to happen. It's definitely possible, but I'm going to stick with Rey.
Hey, fair enough. How about the first ever women's match to be on the card that isn't a title match? A single one-on-one, no stipulations. Of course, I'm talking about Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Mo, how do you see that one going?
Well, I see Naomi taking a savage beating. But I will say this. She is the more skilled of the two. She is. She just is. She's just more naturally gifted in the ring than Jade. She doesn't have Jade's power. So I do think she'll have moments in the match. And because this is a different Naomi, remember, this is heel Naomi, so she's going to pull out every trick in the book. I think that she's going to make Jade work for it, but in the end, I think Jade wins.
No, that's fair enough. This is so tough, Mo, because I almost feel like I'm gonna go with Naomi. Because
you think she finds a way to cheat her way into a win?
I think so, because WWE does have a history of like kind of, we'll see these stars come over from different companies and make their debut singles match and lose. AJ Styles lost his first singles match at WrestleMania. So did Sting. And I think they're going to do the same thing with Jade Cargill. I think they're going to have Naomi kind of, cheat to win. Because I think this is a feud that I think you want to build up into like a trilogy. And I think you want to cap this off at Evolution 2. So I think you have a Naomi win, you have her screw Jade, and then you have a rematch at Backlash. Maybe you end that one by, Jade wins, or just end it I think you end that one actually probably in a disqualification to set up Evolution 2, which apparently is getting announced. And if it does, I think a perfect match would be Jade versus Naomi in a no disqualification match where Jade gets her lick back at the second ever all women's pay-per-view.
I like that. I like how you said in a no disqualification match. I was going to go a step further and say cage match, but I like that.
Yeah, no, I'll say even if you want to have Jade win at Backlash to set up the trilogy, I think that's also realistic. But I think just like almost like a double DQ ending or like them just brawling all over the arena, maybe not even having a match. I think that would set up a really fun no disqualification match for Evolution 2. So
I like where your head's at. And because I think Naomi's such a gifted in-ring talent, and I think she's fully going to embrace this heel role. She'll be very similar to I wasn't not Rhea, but I think she'll be very similar in that she'll become that heel that you love to hate, right? That you can't stand her, but she's entertaining, right? And if this plays out the way you have it going, it will make for a really compelling trilogy.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because I just realized I'm picking a lot of heels to win.
You are. I noticed that.
I say it's not even intentional. I just know Triple H loves to swerve people, and I think the trend's going to continue though with this next match. United States Championship match, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. Mo, I think we're both going to pick the same winner on this one.
Yes, LA Knight. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I think Jacob Fatu. I think LA Knight will probably have a couple of false finishes, but I think at some point Jacob Fatu is going to do that thing that he does where he should be down and out, and he just kind of pops up, almost Taker like, and he pins LA Knight. I think it's going to happen, and I think it's exciting because I think Jacob Fatu could hold on to the belt for a little while.
No, absolutely. Honestly, Jacob Fatu could probably hold on to the belt as long as he wants because I don't know who's taking it from him.
Good point.
I'll say next we have AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I think this will probably be AJ Styles' best ever WrestleMania match. I think I'll call that right now.
I think AJ Styles is a terrific performer. He has been from a long time. Mat wrestling, aerial assault. But the great thing is Logan Paul is just an out and out. Whatever you think of him, he is a natural. I know this is going to be an exciting match. I want to say AJ Styles, but you know what? This is where I go for the heel. I'm going to go with Logan Paul.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, it's funny because this one I'm going to go with AJ Styles. It'll be interesting. It'll be close. I could see this one going either way. But, I'm straight up picking this one off the fact that I already picked like 3 heels to win and I have like another 2 winning. And I feel like they'll want to balance the card a little bit. So I could see that going either way though. So
and Brett, that one if it lives up to what you and I think it could be, that might become a trilogy.
Because this next match I'm also picking a heel winning Tiffany versus Charlotte. Mo, I think Charlotte's just gonna outright win this one.
Really?
Yeah. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be interesting, but especially if Charlotte isn't happy with Tiffany, if she thought the lines about her divorce were too personal, if they don't make pretty in the next couple of weeks, I don't know how willing Charlotte's going to be to actually put Tiffany over. So, and she has a lot of sway backstage. So,
no doubt.
I don't know. I want to say Tiffany, but I feel like politics are going to get involved with this one.
All right. So then let me ask you this question on a follow-up about this situation. If you're right and Charlotte wins, does this set up the fact that they're not done and this becomes like, because if Charlotte wins at WrestleMania, couldn't Tiffany turn around and win it, beat her at the next pay-per-view, right?
Yeah, it could set up a trilogy,
right? That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't. If Charlotte wins, then they need to. It should be a trilogy where eventually she's got to put Tiffany over, and Tiffany wins the rubber match, right? That makes sense. But if Tiffany wins, I don't think they wrestle again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see. That's another one I could see going either way. Charlotte, she's very good record at WrestleMania. When Charlotte does lose, she makes stars. So it'll be interesting to see if she does if Tiffany does end up coming out victorious. It's a very dicey situation. So I think the bottom line is I don't know what to expect and I don't know what to think. And I think that's a good thing in terms of WrestleMania matches.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It is dicey. And for what it's worth, I actually prefer Tiffany I prefer her as a heel.
Yeah, me too. And then I'm going to go on a nice little run of good guys winning here at least. So, although granted, this next match is, Io versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley.
Who's the good guy other than Io?
I almost feel like in a way, it almost feels like all three of them are good guys still technically, even though the crowd has fully gotten behind Rhea, it seems.
Well, I think before matches end, somebody's going to be a clear bad guy.
Yeah, I still think Mo. I think the answer here is just Bianca Belair comes up, wins the title at WrestleMania. That's my prediction for this triple threat.
This one's tough. I'm leaning towards Bianca, but I feel like Io Sky is just as deserving, just as gifted a performer, if not more gifted than the other two. If she has a weakness, and you already know this, she's not really good on the mic for obvious reasons, right? But if she ever got a mouthpiece, if there's a female version of Paul Heyman out there, or Paul Heyman, I think it would elevate Io.
Yeah, I'll say that I want to see Io walk out as champion, but if I'm looking at the long-term prospect of this match, I'm also taking into consideration Bianca's 4-0 record at WrestleMania because I think I can milk that for a couple more years, maybe get her up to 6-0, and then have somebody be the one to end her streak. You can have her kind of run like a mini Undertaker run at WrestleMania.
I kind of like that. I would push it out to an even 10 and then have somebody in the streak.
Yeah. So you don't need to run it all the way up to 20 like you did with Taker, but
right.
I think even if you ran it to 10-0 and then you have whoever in 6 years from now is the next young up and comer knocker off, I think that's kind of really good long-term booking to create your next megastar.
And whoever took that streak, that's going to put them over so big. So I do like that plan. I love it. And look, maybe what it is even though Bianca's my favorite female wrestler, I'm a big Io fan. I want Triple H to throw us for a loop and she walks out the champ. But she can walk out the champ but maybe they turn around because of the way the match ends and they order another triple threat at the next pay-per-view.
I'd be down for that. That triple threat is probably going to be arguably the best match of the night.
I would bet money on it. I agree with you 100%.
Say, world heavyweight title match, Gunther versus J-Mo. Who is it? Who wins this one?
I think it's going to be Jay, but I'm saying this because you put a bug in my ear last week's show that Jay might get over, but I don't think Jay. I agree with you. I don't think Jay's going to have a long title run, which means I do think that somebody, be it CM Punk or Seth Rollins, depending on how that match goes, one of those guys, I think, are going to take the belt off of Jay.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jay wins. And I think he's in for a good moment, but not a long title reign.
Right. He's going to have that great WrestleMania moment.
I do think, too, with Jay, if he doesn't win now, I don't think he really ever wins the big one. Like, I feel like we're at a tipping point with him as a main eventer. Like, he just kind of has to win it now. Otherwise, nobody's ever going to take him seriously in these matches ever again if he doesn't pull this off. Because we've seen him in, like, 4 different world title matches, like, couple now, and he's lost every single one. So if he doesn't win that singles title soon, then I think we're just past the point of him being a singles champion.
Agreed.
And but if we do have Gunther win, Mo, like, I would actually absolutely shock people and have him smoke him in like 5 minutes.
Like, catch Jay off guard and put him to sleep?
Yep, straight up. Like, I feel like if Gunther wins, I would make it in really decisive. But if Jay's going to win, then yeah, make it a fun, like 50-50, like 15, 20-minute match.
I got you.
Now, I do think that the only reason the women's match might not be the match of the weekend, Mo, is because the men's have a triple threat match that it's been going to be fantastic. Roman versus Punk versus Rollins. Mo, who walks out as the winner of this triple threat?
Normally, I would say because Reigns has the wise man in his corner, I give Reigns the edge. But Punk is going to have the wise man in his corner because he and the wise man are best friends, and that was the favor. But then Rollins intervenes Monday during the promo, and now he says Heyman owes him a favor. So I'm gonna go with Rollins upsets because I think Punk is favored to win in a weird way. But I think Rollins wins, and I think he wins because Heyman kicks the other two guys back in. I think both Punk and Reigns are going to be left stunned.
I agree. I think that the winner of this match will be Seth Rollins, and I think it's well-deserved after what he did for the company last year at WrestleMania. Giving him the win in this, triple threat, I think that'd be a great way to, pay him back. Like, he definitely deserves this win. So I'm going to go with Seth Rollins, too. Which leads us to the main event, Mo. And to me, this is also fun in the terms of we don't really know who's going to win. This could go either direction, and you can make a compelling story out of it. So, Mo, who wins? Is it going to be the American Nightmare or the last real champion who's going to take the title and go home?
My answer is going to be kind of weird, I guess. I'm going to say the person that ends up winning the night is going to be the final boss. I say the final boss wins. I say the final boss will walk out with his champion. And I'm saying it that way because I feel like there's going to be another heel turn. I do. I really do. And I feel like in the end, the final boss is going to win.
Yeah, it's funny. I could see it. And that's kind of a reason why I'm also picking like John Cena. I love the idea of John Cena just being this like mega heel for the entire summer, like up until SummerSlam. That would be absolutely fantastic. And I think that's just too good to pass up, in my opinion.
So you're saying Cena wins the belt. He and The Rock continue their relationship, then at some point, for whatever reason, there's kind of a disagreement or a falling out, right? And we kind of get face Cena before it's all said and done.
Yeah, and I think that's the most fun way to do it for me. We could do this fun because if Cody wins, I still think there's a fun, John Cena maybe just turns face right after WrestleMania, realizes the errors of his ways, tries to earn, another shot at the title before he retires, almost like a scramble.
Yeah, so that's where I was going. What if Cody wins, but Cody cheats to win, and he cheats to win because Cody becomes The Rock's champion, and then Cena returns back to being a face. Like, I think that would be cool, but I'm kind of greedy. I want Cena to get 17, right? I want him to achieve that. He doesn't have to hold it forever, but I do want him to achieve that goal because the one great thing I can say about John Cena that I've always said is he's been the ultimate company guy because he's put so many guys over.
Yeah, and listen, they teased it like after Elimination Chamber. Like I said, I feel like there's too many missed opportunities with John Cena as a heel champion. Like, if you don't go that route, like, will Cena and Punk be fun regardless? Yeah, but heel Cena versus face CM Punk with The Rock maybe, coming in to have another promo battle with CM Punk.
That would be fun.
Like, that sounds even better. Like, imagine, heel Cena against, face AJ Styles. They've like set this up perfectly too. Like, if you look at the guys, like a lot of people want to see Cena face, they're all good guys. Randy versus Cena, Randy's a good guy. Cena versus AJ's a good guy. Cena versus Punk, Punk's a good guy. They have lined this up so perfectly in all reality that they want to see John Cena, play some of his biggest hits before he goes against his rivals. And I think the best way to do that is with, this character flip. So we're not, just seeing, heel Randy versus Cena, which would have been good. But I think this just makes everything that much more intriguing because you're giving us the match that we want with a dynamic that we've never seen.
Yeah, I agree. Look, which is why my only answer is that I think the final boss wins that main event because I believe the final boss is going to walk out of that ring with his champion. Hopefully, just because I've been a lifetime fan, it's John Cena. And if they want to do something shady down the road, I'm okay with it because Cena's going to have win the belt. He's going to have achieved that ultimate goal, and he can have fun, like you said, being heel Cena through the summer, and then he can turn back.
Yeah, no, and at the end of the day, what the funny part is, Mo, I don't even think that he necessarily will even need to turn back. I know they will at some point, Mo, but I think let's say he is a heel, like theoretically, all the way into like November, December. Like at that point, I think people will just cheer him regardless. So I think it's a small chance, but if Cena's having fun with this character, I could see them like straight up running with it for like 10, 11 months and maybe wait even all the way until like Survivor Series to turn him because
wow.
It's going to get to a point right at the end. Like if for example, let's say John Cena's last match and December 15th at like a Saturday night's main event. I heard they're having that in Boston in December. Would be a perfect spot for John Cena. Like if I know Cena's last match is in a month, you're going to cheer him regardless. So honestly, I could also see a reality where Cena just stays heel because we expect him to turn back into a good guy.
Right. And
part of the character is we get nothing that we want. So
I'm excited. Like I said, if they throw us for a loop, I'm here for it. But if there's one thing I want to request of Triple H and creative, let Cena fully immerse himself in this heel role as the champion. Let him get that run for the next 7, 8, 9 months, because I think that he can milk that And I think the WWE universe would eat that up.
Yeah, no, I'm. Hey, listen, I'm already going to be buying myself a last real champion John Cena shirt for sure. So I'm looking forward to do it and seeing all the merch that comes out of it. But yeah, Mo, hey, that went quick. Our hour's up already.
That was way too fast.
Do you have anything that you want to say before we get up on out of here?
No, just appreciate the chat, everybody, for joining us on another Tuesday night at the Meaty Boys. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and just like I said, friendly reminder, next week's Meaty Boys it's going to be a WrestleMania watch along Saturday and Sunday. That will be Meaty Boys for the next 2 weeks. So, we'll hang out, watch WrestleMania, maybe do a quick recap after the show's over for Saturday and Sunday. And it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So definitely catch that. You can catch us on Thursday on And One. You can hear all about us talking about Michael Malone getting fired. That'll be interesting. But until then, we thank you for hanging out with us on this fine Tuesday and enjoy the rest of your night.